Okay, good morning. Welcome. Nice to see everybody. Welcome to everyone online who's joining us as well. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys breathing mindfulness meditation, helping you guys to understand what this is. And we're going to actually do a session together, but we're going to teach you the ins and outs of breathing mindfulness meditation, including the why. Understanding the why behind the teachings of the Buddha is so important. Then I'm going to be teaching you the Four Noble Truths. This is the very first teaching of the Buddha, where you understand the problem in the mind, the cause of the problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. This is where you can have a real breakthrough to understanding why you experience things like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. Then I'm going to share with you the three poisons, or the three unwholesome roots. This is going to broaden your understanding of what's really going on in the mind and deepen it. And then this evening from 6:30 to 8:30, I'm going to be teaching the Eightfold Path. So I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining us. And let me just switch over to some visual aids here so that you guys can see what I'm going to be teaching you, because normally I do meditation first, but today I'm actually going to be teaching you first, and then afterwards we'll do the meditation together. Okay. So as we go, you guys are welcome to ask any and all questions that you like, whether you're here at the temple or you're online. You can ask questions by putting your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comments section. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. And here at the temple, if you guys could use the microphones, that would be great, because then the people online will be able to hear you. So let me help you guys to understand breathing mindfulness meditation, because this is a primary form of training that the Buddha shared. There's other training, of course, but you would need to know meditation in order to be able to get to enlightenment. But you wouldn't be able to meditate your way to enlightenment. So if somebody was just meditating and that's all they were doing, they would never actually be able to experience enlightenment. But you also wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation either. So it's a very important topic to be able to understand. So right here at the beginning of this retreat, I'm going to help you to be able to understand the ins and outs of this meditation technique, because it's going to help you to eliminate the discontent feelings that are being experienced in the mind, such as anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All of this can be eliminated, yes, using this meditation, but there's other techniques as well. So first, just some words of the Buddha on meditation. Here he says, meditate, monks. Do not be complacent, lest you regret it later. This is my instruction to you. So the Buddha is essentially saying, if you don't meditate, you're going to regret it having not meditated. Because when you're angry, when you're feeling stress and anxiety, when you have guilt and shame and fear, you're going to regret having not meditated. So the Buddha is encouraging you to meditate. Then he says, a pot without a stand is easy to tip over. A pot without a stand is easy to tip over. The pot is the mind. The stand is your meditation practice. A mind without a meditation practice is easy to become discontent. Right? That's essentially what he's saying. Your meditation practice is the stand. And depending on how you've been meditating now, or even if you have been meditating now, you might have like a little dowel rod, just kind of your pot is kind of teeter-tottering on that pot, on that little stand, that little stick. And now it's very easy for you to experience any kind of discontent feelings. But as you meditate and you train your mind more and more, that stand becomes wider and wider and wider, and it's harder and harder to tip over the mind or tip over the pot. So that's why the Buddha shares a teaching like this. This next one, he says, monks, there is one thing that when developed and cultivated leads exclusively to liberation, to freedom from strong feelings, to elimination, to peace, to direct knowledge, experience, to enlightenment, to nibbana. What is that one thing? Mindfulness of breathing, breathing mindfulness meditation. This is that one thing that, when developed and cultivated, leads exclusively to liberation, to freedom from strong feelings, to elimination, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. So he's saying that this meditation has one goal, and that is to help you get to enlightenment. He's not saying you only need one thing to get to enlightenment, because otherwise you would have just taught meditation and that's it. We wouldn't have 45 volumes of books that are this thick, right? And this is not even all of his teachings. It's just what we have left. So he's not saying you only need meditation to get to enlightenment. He's saying that this meditation has one goal, and that is to get you to enlightenment. It's kind of like saying your car, it leads to one thing, which is transportation. That's what it leads to. But you need more than just transportation in your life to be able to live a life and sustain your life. You need food, clothing, shelter, medical care. You need other things like this. So the Buddha is not saying you only need one thing to get to enlightenment. He's just saying that this meditation has one goal, which is to get to enlightenment, where you have freedom from these strong feelings. Just like your car has one goal, which is transportation. Right? Okay, so now that you can see that the Buddha indeed taught meditation, and these aren't his only teachings on meditation. In this book series, there's one book that has a consolidated collection of the Buddhist teachings on breathing mindfulness meditation. It's volume 7. You're welcome to read that. You'll be able to see the guidance of the Buddha on meditation. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to help you to be able to learn how to actually practice breathing mindfulness meditation, because I'm not interested in students believing anything that I teach. So that's why right up front, I'm helping you to be able to see that the Buddha did indeed teach meditation. And now I'm going to help you to understand how to actually do it so that you can reap the rewards and benefits of meditation. So first, starting out with some basics of meditation, I'm going to share with you a definition of how I think about meditation. And this is how I describe meditation. Meditation is a technique to actively train the mind during dedicated, independent, purposeful training sessions to eliminate unwholesome qualities of the mind and or cultivate wholesome qualities of the mind in the positions of seated, lying, standing, and walking. Okay, so this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities. And this is in the seated, lying, standing, and walking position. These are 4 positions that the Buddha taught. And I share this with you because nowadays there's some people who think about meditation in ways that actually isn't meditation. Someone might say, I'm going to go walk the dog and meditate, or I'm going to go to the gym and meditate, right? Well, if you hear me recommend to you to meditate 2 or 3 times a day, and all you did is went to the gym or did some gardening or go walk the dog, you're actually not making your way to enlightenment. While you might actually do those things because you like those things, they're beneficial, they're helpful in your life, it's important that you don't see them as meditation. So meditation is when you're dedicated, active, purposeful training session. You're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and cultivating certain wholesome qualities. It's not exercising, walking the dog, gardening, going for a drive, and things like that. It's important to have a meditation teacher. There's only one type of person that would be able to get to enlightenment without the help of any teachers or any guides. This would actually be a Buddha. And that's very rare in the world. You're going to need teachers and guides to help you along the path. And there's been situations over the years where people didn't understand this and they ran into all kinds of difficulties. And I'm going to share one example with you to be able to help you understand how important it is to have a teacher. And I don't suspect any of these things will ever happen to you because you're going to understand that you need a teacher. But one time there was an individual who was trying to get to enlightenment on their own. They were reading books, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, and all these kinds of things. And they were doing this for about 2 years. And this individual was a practicing doctor. They were a physician in their home country. And they got to a point where they were sleeping 23 hours a day. They were having suicidal thoughts. They couldn't go to work any longer. Their relationships were starting to fall apart. They were having obsessive thoughts. All kinds of difficulties and struggles were happening in their day-to-day life. And as I mentioned, I don't suspect any of these things will happen for you, but this individual didn't understand that you needed a teacher. And they ended up getting to a point where their mind was highly discontent. And for one reason or another, they reached out and they sought guidance, they sought help, they actually reached out to me and I was able to help them. And they were actually, oh, thank you so much. Kap kun kap. They were actually contacting me through the internet, and I was actually sharing teachings with them over the internet and talking to them and conversating with them. And after about 3 or 4 months, I realized that this situation was more difficult than what this person would be able to handle while they're in their home country. So I invited them to Thailand, and they came to Thailand and they started doing some training here. And then they ultimately went back to their home country. And when they did, over time, they worked themselves out of these issues, that they went back to work. They no longer had the suicidal thoughts. They were sleeping a normal schedule. They weren't having obsessive thoughts anymore. Their relationship with their fiance did fall apart, and that didn't go forward. But nonetheless, they did get back to a normal, viable life. But for about 4 to 6 years, this person's life was real misery because they didn't understand that they needed a teacher in order to be able to make their way to enlightenment. They were trying to do this on their own. So I encourage you to make sure you have somebody that you trust and somebody that you can reach out to and actually get help from time to time, because you're going to need that help along your journey. And whether you consider that person to be me or not, it's up to you. Just know that you can reach out to me at any time. I don't have any expectations of you. I don't want anything from you. Even if I don't hear from you for several years and you end up contacting me and say, hey, David, I need your help, I'll be right there to help you. So it's important to have some kind of teacher available to you, because you can't ask questions to a book, and you're going to need to have someone that you can ask questions to and get help from. So having a teacher is very important. There's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: the seated, lying, standing, and walking positions. These are 4 positions that your body can be in as you're meditating, because your body can't be in the same position permanently. It's just not possible. So I'm going to share with you guys these 4 positions and what they are, and then I'll invite you to not believe what I'm saying, that you learn what I'm sharing with you about how I use these positions, but then you use them on your own so that you can see what's working for you. Don't just believe what I'm sharing. Don't just take what I'm saying. Instead, use these positions maybe in the ways that I'm sharing, but maybe you find ways to use these positions in other situations, and you're more than welcome to do that. But I'm going to share with you how I've used these positions, and then you'll have that understanding, and then you can figure out in what situations these positions work for you, because you're not going to be able to use the same position all the time. You're going to need all 4 of these at different times in your journey to enlightenment. So this first position is the seated position. This is a very common position. People tend to use this one a lot, either sitting on the floor or in a chair, maybe on a bench, a sofa, in a wheelchair. You can really sit however you like. If people are on the floor, they might sit with some cushions under their rear with their legs lightly crossed. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This is a very common way to do that. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and if this was comfortable for you, you could use it. But some people like to put their palms on their thighs or their knees or their palms up, or some people rest their hands comfortably in their lap. There's not just one way to do this. The people who sit in a chair, on a bench, or a sofa, or a wheelchair, you might actually sit with your feet flat on the floor or lightly crossed at the ankles. But you can see that I'm actually sitting in a chair here, and I meditate with my legs crossed. So that's an option for you as well. And then someone might just put their hands wherever they like. It's helpful if the upper body is erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back, because it helps to keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you are real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So by having the upper body in the middle, not only does it help your mind to stay attentive and alert, but it makes it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And you can do this with the seated position in a chair or bench or a sofa or wheelchair as well. Okay, this seated position is kind of like the go-to position. I would say 80 to maybe 90% of the meditation I've ever done has been in the seated position. So a lot of people use that, but some people may not be able to, because there's other reasons why you might use these different positions here. For example, if you were in the seated position and you were noticing a lot of back pain or hip pain or knee pain, what I suggest you do is try to adjust your position to get comfortable. But then if you can't, you can just change your position. You can change to a lying position where you're lying on the floor, face up, and your arms are out to the side. If you've ever done yoga, they call this resting pose, or some people call it shavasana. This is a way that you can completely relax all the muscles in the body, right? So the lying pose is really helpful for that. And you're doing the same thing with the mind. You're not changing the actual meditation technique. You're just changing the position of the body, because you're not interested in the body being painful, but you're not interested in it being luxurious either. You'd like it to be in the middle where it's comfortable, and that's where you can actually train the mind. So if you're noticing that there's pain in the body, you can switch to a lying position. But in the lying position, sometimes the mind falls asleep. You get sleepy. And if you're noticing that, that's where the standing position and the walking position come in. They're really helpful for that. But also you can use the standing position in other situations too. I've been at bus stops before, waiting for a bus, and I know the bus isn't going to be there for 15 or 20 minutes, and there's nowhere to sit down, so I'll just stand and do meditation. I might not consider it one of my primary meditations throughout the day. It's just like a little touch-up, little 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but I'll just stand there, close my eyes, and do some meditation at the bus stop. Or like I've been in line before at a government office, and maybe this line only moves every 15 or 20 minutes, and as I'm standing there in line, I do a little bit of meditation, kind of touch up the mind a little bit. So you can do it that way as well. So either if you're noticing that you're falling asleep or just in some of these other situations. And then the walking position is also helpful if you're noticing you're falling asleep, but it's also helpful if you have an overactive mind. If you have a lot of energy in your mind and you just can't imagine sitting down and being still, you want to actually move while you're meditating, the walking position is good for that. And I'm going to be teaching that tomorrow morning so that you guys can learn that. And it's going to be really helpful for you either as a standalone position, or you can do it before or after any of these other positions. So you can use these positions interchangeably. You don't have to just take one position and stick with it all the way through your meditation session. You can actually interchange these at different times during your meditation session. So do you guys have any questions on anything that I talked here about the basics of meditation? Remember, online you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or here if you guys could use the microphones, that'd be great. Okay. Not seeing any questions anywhere. All right. So now I'm going to move on to helping you to see some more words of the Buddha on meditation, because the Buddha taught 4 different meditations. And in this particular retreat, I'm going to be teaching all 4 of them. I don't typically do that because I'm building students up from a foundation. But in this retreat, I'm going to teach all 4 of these meditations. So these are the words of the Buddha where you can see the 4 meditations he taught. Because nowadays, there's hundreds and thousands of meditations that are out there that different people taught. And if you tried to learn all those meditations, it would stretch you really thin because you would be really broad. You wouldn't be really deep in any one meditation. And sometimes these other meditation techniques that people are teaching, they actually don't lead to enlightenment. That's actually taking you in the opposite direction of enlightenment. So in order to get to enlightenment, you would like to learn what the Buddha did, because whatever he did, that's what's actually going to lead to your enlightenment. So these are the 4 meditations that he taught, the only 4 that he ever taught. So he was talking about something else prior to this. He was explaining to his students 5 things that they needed to do in order to develop their mind and make their way to enlightenment. But then he ultimately gets to this. He says, having based himself on these 5 things, the 5 things that he was talking about previously, the monk should develop further another 4 things. The perception of unattractiveness of the body should be developed to abandon lust. This is a meditation to eliminate sexual cravings. If you have a lot of craving for sex, you can actually eliminate that through training your mind with meditation. Loving kindness should be developed to abandon ill will. This is going to eliminate anger, hatred, and ill will, and even lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance, things like this. By the time you get to enlightenment, you won't even have the slightest dislike towards other beings. Right now, there's probably certain people that you like and certain people that you dislike. But this is actually coming from your own mind. It's not coming from the other people. So you can actually train your mind to have love and kindness for all beings. This meditation is also helpful if you have like an inner dialogue within your mind where you're degrading and diminishing yourself, kind of like an inner voice where you talk to yourself in negative ways. This meditation is going to help you with that too. So you can be loving and kind to this being who you are. Then he says, mindfulness of breathing mindfulness meditation should be developed to cut off thoughts. This is training your mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. It's not to eliminate your thoughts. You will never eliminate your thoughts as long as you're alive. You need thoughts. Even in meditation, you're going to have thoughts. But what you would like to be able to do is let go. That's what the mind doesn't know how to do in the unenlightened state, is it's holding on. It doesn't know how to let go. So what we're going to be doing is focusing on the breath. And when the mind moves off the breath, you train it to let go, cut off your thoughts and bring the mind back to the breath. Because then in day-to-day life where you see your anger is arising, you can let go if you've trained your mind that way in a consistent long-term basis. So that's why the Buddha is teaching you breathing mindfulness meditation. Then here he says the perception of impermanence should be developed to eradicate the conceit, I am. When one perceives impermanence, the perception of non-self is stabilized. One who perceives non-self eradicates the conceit I am, which is nibbana or enlightenment in this very life. So this is actually a meditation to realize non-self. So I'm going to be teaching you guys that as part of this retreat as well, where it's going to help you to eliminate the very first fetter as well as the 8th fetter, which is conceit. And you guys will learn more about that as we go. But I just was interested in showing you guys these 4 meditations that the Buddha taught. These are the only 4 that you would ever need to know. Breathing mindfulness meditation and loving kindness meditation are the 2 primary forms of meditation that everybody would need to know. And some people will need to know this meditation to eliminate sexual cravings and this meditation to realize non-self. Those are kind of on an as-needed basis. Not everybody would need those, but these 2, everybody's going to need those. And you'll understand why by the end of our time together this morning. So here, what I've done, because I shared with you that meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and cultivating certain wholesome qualities. What I've done is for each one of the meditations, I've listed what are the unwholesome qualities that you're eliminating and what are the wholesome qualities that you're actually cultivating. So with breathing mindfulness meditation, you're eliminating craving, desire, attachment. This is the mind holding on, craving permanence, wanting things to be a certain way. This is the underlying cause of why you experience things like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All of that is being caused by the same exact thing, which is craving, desire, attachment. The mind longing, yearning, and wanting things to be a certain way. So that's why this is the primary form of meditation that the Buddha used, because it addresses the primary problem that he discovered in the mind, which is craving, desire, attachment. And then the wholesome qualities that it's helping you to cultivate is mindfulness or awareness of mind and concentration, to be focused and be able to have singleness of mind. This is so important for you. So these other 3, I'm going to be talking about those at different times during the retreat, but we're going to be focusing on this first one today, this morning, breathing mindfulness meditation. So just kind of starting and conducting your meditation session, it's important to keep in mind that the mind is the boss and the body is the employee. What I mean by that is that in order to get to the boss, you got to go through the employee. So the body needs to be comfortable. You're not interested in it being painful, but you're not interested in it being luxurious either. Because if the employees were just pain, it's not going to take you to go see the boss. But also if the employees are too luxurious, they're not going to take you to go see the boss either, right? So you need the employee to be in the middle where it's comfortable. Then it'll take you to go see the boss so you can train the mind. The Buddha teaches when he guides you in meditation, if you look at his instructions on meditation, he will typically say, before you start meditating, set up mindfulness in front of you. Well, mindfulness is awareness of mind, where you have awareness of your mind. And he says, set this up in front of you before you meditate. In other words, bring some awareness to your mind before you actually start meditating. Don't just plop down into meditation. If you were to just plop down into meditation and start meditating, it might take you 5, 10, 15 minutes to start getting benefits from the meditation. But if you bring some awareness to your mind before you start meditating, this will actually help you get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So that's why I do chanting. The chanting is going to help to bring some awareness to your mind as you ease down into meditation. So whether you choose to do chanting or not, that's a decision for you to make. You'll see that it helps you to set up mindfulness. But if you don't do chanting, be sure you're doing something to set up mindfulness before you actually start meditating to ease the mind into your meditation. In terms of your time, frequency, and schedule for meditation, it's not going to be possible for you to meditate at exactly the same time every day. That would be permanence. And we understand the world is full of impermanence. You're going to be meditating and things are going to happen. There were times where I was meditating and I thought I was actually at home alone. And my son walks into my room and says, "Dad, I need you to take me to school." And I was like, "Oh yeah, really? I thought your mom was going to take you to school." He's like, "Yeah, me too, but she's gone. I don't know where she's at." I was like, "All right, I'll take you to school." So I had to break from my meditation to go take him to school, right? So if I was attached or I was craving to meditate at exactly the same time every day, I would have been frustrated or agitated when I needed to go take him to school. But by your mind understanding that you're not going to be able to meditate at a fixed time every day, you won't even try. You'll just understand that you're not going to be able to do that. But what you should do is set up kind of anchor points in your life. The Buddha meditated 3 times a day: morning, midday, and evening. These are the 3 times that he meditated during the day. So you can kind of set up that same thought in your mind that I'm going to meditate in the morning, sometime in the morning. I'm going to meditate sometime in the evening. And if you can get a midday meditation in, that would be ideal. The Buddha didn't meditate at exactly the same time every day. Sometimes you will hear people tell you that, you should meditate at 3:30 a.m. every day. That's the best time to meditate. You're going to get so much benefit out of meditating at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Well, this is not true. I can assure you that there's nothing happening at 3:30 a.m. that's going to make your meditation any better or any worse by meditating at that time. And I know that the Buddha didn't meditate at 3:30 a.m. every day because they didn't even have watches 2,500 years ago. They couldn't keep track of precise time 2,500 years ago. So if he was able to get to meditate or get to enlightenment without meditating at 3:30 a.m. every day, you surely can too, right? So when you hear these kinds of things out there in the world, oftentimes people are leading you astray, and you need to have enough wisdom to be able to see the truth for yourself. So you can meditate at any time during your day that you like. I suggest you build up to 2 to 3 sessions per day for 30 minutes or more. Now, that can sound like a lot to some people, depending on what you've got going on in your life, but there's probably certain unbeneficial things that you're doing right now. Maybe you're searching social media extensively or watching YouTube videos a lot. You could probably cut that down from maybe 3, 4, 5 hours a day down to maybe 30 minutes or an hour a day. And now you have a lot more time in your life to actually dedicate to something like meditation that's going to be beneficial for you. So you can meditate 2 or 3 times a day for 30 minutes or more, understanding that it can take you 6 months, a year, even 2 years to build up to this type of frequency and this type of time frame. So don't put pressure on yourself. You're not in a race with anybody. It's your own journey to enlightenment, but you're going to need to gradually build up your practice to this type of frequency. When you get to 2 to 3 sessions per day for 30 minutes, you're going to notice phenomenal changes in your mind and in your life. Because if you were to meditate, let's just say once a day for 30 minutes, that's fine. That's where you're starting. Or say you did twice a day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Fine. You can start there. There's no harm with that. If it's a matter of once a day for 30 minutes or 2 for 15 minutes, you're going to notice the 2 for 15 is actually more beneficial because you're actually hitting the mind more frequently and training it more actively. So if it's a matter of 2 for 15 or 1 for 30, do the 2 for 15. That's going to have more benefit for you. And then just gradually build this up over time. And as you get to the 2 to 3 for 30 minutes, you're going to see significant changes occurring in your mind. So that's what I suggest you do with your time and your frequency and your schedule. Also, it's not going to be wise to use an alarm for your meditation. If you don't need an alarm, it's best to not use one, because there's 2 things that are going to happen if you use an alarm. You're going to be in meditation and your alarm is set and you're going to be thinking, is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? And your mind's going to be craving and longing, yearning. That's what you're trying to eliminate. So it's best to not use the alarm. Or you're going to be deep in meditation, getting all kinds of benefit. And you're just like, this is so wonderful. Oh man, if I just didn't set the alarm, you could have got so much more benefit, right? So maybe in the evenings and on the weekends when you don't have to work, maybe you need to set the alarm to the side and don't use an alarm. But maybe you're on your way to work and you only have 15 minutes or 20 minutes to meditate. In those situations, go ahead, use the alarm if that's what you need to do. The way you keep track of how long you've been meditating is you look at the time, okay, 9 a.m. Now you meditate, right? And now after you're done, you look at your clock again. 9:15. Okay, you meditated for 15 minutes. So now you just know in your next session, work on expanding that a little bit longer, right? So maybe about once a week, check in on your time frame of your meditation. I even do this now after I've been meditating for many years. I check in on my time about once a week, because sometimes 5 minutes of meditation can seem like an hour, and sometimes an hour of meditation can seem like 5 minutes. So it's important to check in about just once a week and make sure that you're meditating for a consistent long-term period of at least 30 minutes. That would be ideal. That's what you would like to gradually build up to. Then you might notice sleepiness during your meditation. This is common. If you're noticing any sleepiness during your meditation, you have the option of switching to another position. That's an option. You can switch to standing or walking, but also you can just get some sleep. Because one of the things you're going to notice is no matter how long you're sleeping right now, when you start meditating, you're going to get better quality sleep. And your mind's going to have a tendency to be interested to sleep more. So there's kind of like this little hump, maybe like a 3 or 6 month hump that you got to get over, where your mind's going to start performing more and more optimally. You're going to get better and better quality sleep. And you're going to need to kind of train your mind and get over that hump. And sometimes you're going to need to change your position to meditate, or sometimes you just take a nap. If you're sleepy, just go to sleep, take a nap, wake up 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, an hour or 2 later, and then do your meditation at that point. No need to force yourself to meditate. You might notice physical sensations during your meditation. What I mean by this is, like, you might notice you have an itch or a scratch somewhere that you feel like scratching. If you're noticing this and you're in meditation, if you can just continue to focus on your breath, that's ideal, because the itch is not permanent. It's going to arise, it's going to change, and it's going to fade away. So if you can stay focused on your breath, this will really help you, because what the mind's going to do is it's going to crave permanent comfort. And when you experience that itch, the mind might have an urge to itch it. So if you're in meditation and you feel that urge to itch, try to expand that to like 5 seconds, 8 seconds. And if you get to the point where, you just got to itch, okay, go ahead and itch. But now try to make that longer. Try to extend it the next time to 10 or 12 seconds or 15 seconds. The next time, try to extend it even longer. And eventually you get to the point where you don't need to itch. You notice the itch, you know it's there, but it arises, it changes, and it fades away, and you don't feel this overwhelming urge to actually itch. So that will help you to train your mind. You might notice visual stimulation during your meditation. This is like different colors or different images. Like you might see white or green or purple or different things like this. Or you might have vivid memories of things that have happened in this life or even previous lives. And if you have these kinds of things, it's very normal. But sometimes people actually contact me because they think there's something going on here that needs to be investigated. I've had people contact me and they say, David, I saw green during my meditation. Does that mean I'm going to get rich? Or, David, I saw the color purple during my meditation. Does that mean my boyfriend or my girlfriend's going to come back to me? No, that's not what that means. I'm going to explain to you guys what this means because it's very normal to experience these things, and you're not a special person. There's nothing special going on. It's actually the structures of your brain that are changing. Because what you're doing during meditation is you're training your mind. The brain is something completely different. The brain is the physical organ, where the mind is this non-physical, non-tangible thing that you're training, and you're purifying the mind. But there's a connection between these two things. And as you're training the mind, the physical structures of the brain are actually changing. Well, sight occurs inside the brain. The eye itself is just bringing in light so that you can actually process the sight, and the sight is actually occurring inside the brain. So even with your eyes closed, you can actually see things because the sight is occurring inside the brain. The eye is just bringing in light. So when your structures of your brain are physically changing, this is going to produce different colors and different images as that's occurring. Scientists are researching this. They're actually using things like MRIs and CAT scans and other devices to be able to see the changes that are happening to the physical brain. And they can see that these physical changes are actually beneficial to the brain. And once you get to a certain level of development and the structures of the brain have changed to a certain degree, they never change back to the way that they were before. So you're going to notice these changes that are happening, which are very beneficial. You might even hear some of these things. There were times where I was meditating and I could hear it inside the skull, because I used to walk around with a lot of pressure in the skull. I used to have migraine headaches where like 3 to 5 times a week, I would get very intense headaches, sometimes even to the point of vomiting. And as I started training my mind with meditation, all that went away. And that was from the physical structures of the brain changing. So you might notice that is occurring as you're actually training your mind. So if that's occurring, it's very normal to see different colors or different images, or even hear things physically changing inside the skull. This is a normal thing that scientists are researching nowadays. Then sometimes people have been taught to meditate with external stimulus. What I mean by this is like candles or phone apps or music or beads or things of this nature. If you've been taught to meditate with any of those things, that's what's led you to where you're at today. But what I would encourage you to do is start to eliminate those things out of your practice, because there's only 3 things that you actually need to meditate. And you'll have these 3 things with you for the rest of your life. It's the body, the mind, and the breath. Those are the only 3 things that you actually need to meditate. The body, the mind, and the breath. And you're going to have these 3 things with you all the way through the end of this life. And if you can strip away the phone apps, the incense, the candles, and all these things, and you can just meditate with these 3 things, that means you can meditate anywhere at any time. So let's just say you're in a park and it's a beautiful day out, the sun's shining, the wind's blowing, there's a lake there, and you're like, wow, it's so beautiful here. I'd like to sit down and meditate. Oh, I don't have my incense with me. I can't. I don't have my special candle. Oh, I can't meditate, right? This is unfortunate. Whereas if you learn how to meditate with just 3 things, you're going to have those with you no matter where you're at. So now when you're in that nice park and you're thinking about sitting down to meditate, sure, I can meditate anywhere, anytime, because I've got the body, the mind, and the breath. Or say you're in a hiking trip deep in the forest of Chiang Mai. You're 3 days away from civilization in the jungle, and you'd like to sit down and meditate. Go for it, right? Because you've got the body, the mind, and the breath with you. So if you're having any of these things in your meditation now, like music and things like that, what I encourage you to do is slowly strip those away. Maybe do 1 session with it, 1 session without it, 1 session with it, 1 session without it. After you do that for a week or so and your mind's adjusted to that, then do 1 session with it, 2 or 3 without it. 1 session with it, 2 or 3 without it. And now you do that for a week or 2 and kind of adjust to that. Then you can do 1 session with it, 3, 4, 5, 6 without it. 1 session with it, 3, 4, 5, 6 without it. And slowly but surely, you can move your mind away from things like phone apps, candles, incense, music, any of this kind of stuff. You can gradually move your mind away from it. You don't need any of that stuff to actually meditate. So do you guys have any questions on starting and conducting your meditation session? could you use a mic here? That way the people online will be able to hear you. Just press the gray button, and then the lights will come on. Yeah, there's enough for all of you guys. You can all have one.
Wait. So you mean that every day maybe 30 minutes? So the 30 minutes we can just divide into maybe 3 times or 4 times. But the minimum of the 30 minutes is totally.
No, it's per session. So 2 to 3 sessions per day for 30 minutes each for each session. That's what you would like to build up to.
Each section is 30 minutes.
Yes, that's what you would like to build up to.
Which means every time I do one time meditation, it should be at least 30 minutes.
Exactly. That's where you're going to see the most benefit.
But if I can do like 2 times 30 minutes, each time 15 minutes.
That's fine where you're getting started, right? When I first started meditation, I think I could only do 1 minute, right? My mind was so congested. It was like a brick wall, right? So if that's where you start, then that's where you start. You start wherever you start, right? But then just gradually build it up to 2 or 3 for 30 minutes. That's ideal. That's what will produce the most benefit for you.
So the ideal is maybe 2 to 3 times, and each time 30 minutes, which means at least 1 to 1 hour and a half every day.
Yes, that would be ideal. And that's why I share that there's probably certain unbeneficial things in your life right now that you're going to need to strip out. Sometimes people sit around and search social media for 3, 4, 5 hours, or they're looking at YouTube videos. So if you start stripping some of that stuff out, maybe bring that down to a half hour, an hour, you're going to have all kinds of time in your life to meditate.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this weekend a story of a woman that while meditating, she felt there was something awakening in her brain. Mm-hmm. She said the pineal gland.
Could be. You can notice different sensations in the brain when you're meditating. Eventually that stuff won't be there anymore. All the physical changes to the brain have occurred and you're beyond that. But as you're meditating, you can easily notice those things. Even during your day, sometimes you can experience these sudden shifts in your consciousness where you realize certain wisdom, and you can notice it in the physical structures of your brain as your mind is creating this change and this transformation. You can notice these kinds of things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see if we have any other questions anywhere. Okay.
Excuse me. So when we do the meditation, we have to close the eyes, or?
Yes, for seated, lying, and standing, it would be best to close the eyes, because that's going to allow your mind to go inward. And that's for the breathing mindfulness meditation. For the walking meditation, you're going to have your eyes open. And then also for the meditation to eliminate sexual cravings, you're typically going to have the eyes open for that too, depending on how you do it. But with this particular meditation I'm teaching you now, you would close your eyes. So I was just looking, you're welcome. For those of you guys on YouTube, I see you guys offering lots of thank yous. You're welcome. Pleased to help you. Okay, so this last little teaching here from the Buddha, where he says, meditate, monks, do not be complacent, lest you regret it later. This is my instruction to you. This is the only thing you're going to see from the Buddha, where he's kind of encouraging you to actually meditate. He's incentivizing you and basically helping you to be able to see that it's really important to meditate, because when your mind's feeling guilt and shame and fear and all these other feelings, you'll regret having not meditated. And that's why he's sharing this here. So you'll see this in his teachings, and it's the only thing you're ever going to see from the Buddha where he's essentially kind of encouraging you to go do something like this, right? Like meditate. He doesn't try to convince you to do anything. He never tries to pressure or force you to do anything, because it's your life, it's your practice. He's not going to try to put expectations on you. But here he is bringing to your attention that if you don't meditate, you're going to regret it later, because when you're feeling stress and anxiety and all those other discontent feelings, you'll regret having not meditated. So if you dedicate time to meditating each day, then you won't have that regret, because you're making your way to more and more peace and more joy. One of the things that I would say is never give up, because giving up on your meditation practice would be like resigning yourself to experiencing anger and sadness and grief and sorrow for the rest of your life. Basically, it's like, I give up. I'm just going to be angry and frustrated and bitter and hostile and harsh the rest of my life. That's no way to live life. Just resigning yourself to stress and anxiety for the rest of your life, you can actually eliminate that 100%. So if you maybe go a period of time without meditating, it's understandable. This can happen from time to time. Your enlightenment isn't going to be determined based on whether you miss meditation today or not, right? If you miss meditation today, that's not going to determine whether you get to enlightenment or not. What's going to determine whether you get to enlightenment is if you miss meditation today, what are you going to do next? Is that going to be 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 year, 2 years that you're not meditating? Or you're like, I missed meditation today. Let me get right back into it. Let me actually meditate tomorrow, or let me meditate tonight. So if you meditated twice a day in over a month, that would be 60 meditations, right? If you meditate 52 times a month, 54 times, 55 times a month, you're going to get to enlightenment gradually, slowly but surely. You'll be able to make your way to enlightenment, right? But if you don't meditate for years and years and years, or you're skipping over a month or two and you're doing this regularly where you're not meditating, you're not going to be able to get to enlightenment. So you don't have to put a lot of pressure on yourself to force yourself to meditate, but you would like to gradually build up to 2 to 3 times a day for 30 minutes per session. That's what's going to produce the most benefits. And understanding that your meditation practice is impermanent, that some days you're going to probably forget, or you might miss a certain session here and there. That's normal. But if you can stay consistent enough over a multiple year period, that's what's going to determine whether you get to enlightenment or not. If you miss meditation today, that's not going to determine whether you get to enlightenment. But can you string together enough days, enough weeks, enough months, enough years that you're meditating consistently? That's what's going to determine whether you get to enlightenment or not. So I encourage you to never give up. Okay? So do you guys have any questions on meditation at all? Yeah. Remember, those of you guys online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or in Zoom.
Is it beneficial to meditate while falling asleep?
You can do that, but I wouldn't suggest you consider that one of your 2 or 3 sessions. Because if you're doing your dedicated, purposeful training sessions 2 or 3 times a day, that's what you would like to be able to do. And then now let's just say you're falling asleep at night and you're just like, let me focus on the breath. And you start focusing on the breath, you'll notice you'll fall asleep a lot quicker, maybe in just a few minutes. And that's the benefit of having meditated 2 or 3 times a day. But if you regularly fall asleep as part of your normal session, it's going to train your mind to just fall asleep during meditation, and you're not interested in doing that. So have your dedicated sessions, and then when you're falling asleep, you can benefit from focusing on your breath, but just don't consider it one of your 2 or 3 sessions.
So when you're meditation, so you just your mind is empty and just focus on the breath.
Yeah, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on the breath, and anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and bring the mind back to your breath. Your goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Sometimes people think that's the case based on the guidance in the instruction. Your goal is to notice your thoughts sooner and sooner and cut it off and let it go easier and easier. For an unenlightened being, they're going to experience a bombardment of thoughts during their meditation. It's going to be like thought. You're going to be cutting off 15, 20, 30 times during your meditation. Or you're going to have a thought, You're going to indulge in that thought. You're going to look at it. You're going to play with it. You're going to think about it. 2 or 3 minutes down the road, you're going to be like, oh, I'm meditating. That's right. Let me bring my mind back, right? That's what you experience in the unenlightened state because the mind's not well trained. In the enlightened mental state, when you're meditating, you're still going to have thoughts. But the difference is in between your thoughts, the mind's going to be still and quieted because you're going to notice your thought right away and you're going to cut it off and let it go right away and come right back. So your goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. The goal is to notice them sooner and sooner and cut them off and let them go easier and easier. In meditation, you're cutting off anything and everything that comes up in your mind. But in day-to-day life, when you're out and about and you're walking down the street, you only cut off the unwholesome thoughts. Right? So if you have an unwholesome thought, like say you're walking down the street and you start judging someone and looking down on them, you cut that off and let it go. Or you're walking down the street or you're at a business meeting and you're noticing anger coming up, cut that off and let it go. But if you're in day-to-day life and you're like, I'd like to take my mom out to lunch today. This would be really nice. You don't need to cut that off in your day-to-day life because it's a wholesome thing to practice generosity and take your mom out to lunch. In meditation, if that kind of thought came up, you would cut it off because you're training your mind in one way, but you're practicing in a completely different way. It's kind of like a professional athlete. If I was a pole vaulter, I would go into the gym and I would do weight training, cardiovascular training, agility training. My training would look a certain way and it would look very different than my sport of pole vaulting. So in the meditation, it's like exercising the mind, developing this awareness of mind or mindfulness, developing concentration or focus and clarity of mind, and the ability to let go. So you would like to cut off everything and anything. Then in your day-to-day life, you're only cutting off the unwholesome thoughts. Whenever you see those arising, you would like to cut it off. And more, your mind actually won't have those thoughts because you've been cutting them off and restraining the mind. It's kind of like if you had a post or a pillar and there were 6 animals that were tied to this post and pillar and they had a rope around their neck and it was tied to the post. If these animals kept pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and they kept getting yanked back to the post and pillar, eventually those animals would just sit down and be calm by the post and pillar. Your mind is the same way. It's going to pull and pull and pull and pull and pull in your meditation, but in your daily life too. But if you just keep pulling it back and pulling it back and pulling it back, eventually your mind's going to just be calm and it's going to sit down by that post or pillar and it's going to be still and quieted. But it's going to take you multiple years to train the mind to be able to do that. It's not going to be a 1 week thing or a 1 month thing or even a 1 year thing. It's going to take multiple years, but this is a permanent solution that's going to ultimately completely fix your mind to get to this permanent mental state of enlightenment.
Oh, okay. Because we can see some, as in some social media, as YouTube or something, they are having some meditation video. Mm-hmm. They are teaching you how to meditation. Like when you meditation, you just listen to the video, mm-hmm. and they will have some words. They will sing some words. Mm-hmm. So when I meditation, I should clean up every, the thoughts from my mind. It should be empty, or I need to follow some mindfulness thoughts in my mind and meditation.
Those types of meditations that are guiding you all the way through the meditation, you would be disinterested in doing that because that's just allowing your mind to hold on. You're not actually training your mind to let go, because whatever thought you would have had, it's just being replaced by listening to this person's voice. So you'll see that, when I teach you to meditate, I will guide you for about 5 minutes, but then I have quiet because your mind needs to let go. So sometimes people teach you to do counting, or they teach you to visualize things, or they teach you to welcome your thoughts in, or they teach you to label your thoughts or note your thoughts and different things like this. This is all unwise, and it's not what the Buddha actually taught, because it's allowing your mind to still hold on. You would actually like to teach your mind to let go, and you can't do that as long as you're listening to that video or that podcast, or you're counting or noting or labeling or any of these other things. Could you use the mic? You're getting ready to talk, right?
Yes. So actually, when we're doing the meditation, our mind should be clear. Try our best to clear our minds to stop all the thoughts, to make it clear and empty.
Your goal isn't to stop your thoughts. Your goal is to notice your thoughts sooner and sooner and let it go easier and easier. You're always going to have thoughts during meditation, even when you're enlightened. But the difference is that you'll notice them, you'll cut them off and let them go, and then you'll have stillness and quietness for about 30 seconds to a minute inside your in between your thoughts. That's what you would ultimately like to get to, where you can notice them and cut them off and let them go. But you're going to have thoughts during your meditation. That's completely normal. But if you notice it, when you notice that your mind's moved off your breath, that's your mindfulness and your awareness of mind. When you let go of that thought, that's training your mind to let go, to eliminate craving, desire, attachment. And now when you bring it back to the breath and it's focused on the breath, that's training your mind to have concentration, right? So the instruction of this meditation is very simple, is very basic, but it's very profound in the effects that it has by just focusing on the breath. Anytime your mind moves off, you cut it off and let it go and come back. Very simple. But the effects that it has in terms of eliminating unwholesome qualities and cultivating wholesome qualities is very profound.
Okay, so the ideal way of meditation is maybe some people they practice many years. Then when they meditation, they can have very less thoughts.
Yes.
Have to eliminate.
Yeah, so like when you first start, you're going to have lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like thought. But by the time you get closer and closer to enlightenment, it'll be a thought. You'll notice it, you'll cut it off and bring your mind back to the breath. Then it'll be quiet and still. And then you'll have a thought.
Okay, so if we practice the meditation, then when we are bad things happen, or some thoughts, some bad thoughts happen in our daily life. If we practice the meditation very frequently, then maybe once we occur some negative thoughts, then it will be easily passed by. Is it what meditation works out?
Yes. Okay. That's one of the benefits of having a regular meditation practice, that as things are happening in your day-to-day life, you'll be able to cut that off and let it go. And your mind can reside peaceful and joyful. Over time, if you train your mind enough, those unwholesome thoughts won't even arise. Your mind will just always be peaceful. But between now and enlightenment, you're going to have unwholesome thoughts that arise. But when you notice them with your mindfulness and you cut them off and let them go, it's like shaving back the wild bush. If you have this wild bush growing, you shave it back and shave it back and shave it back and shave it back and shave it back. And eventually you uproot it out of the mind and this wild bush won't grow any longer. It's the same thing with these unwholesome thoughts. You just cut them back and cut them back and cut them back and cut them back. And eventually you uproot them out of the mind and you won't experience them any longer.
Okay, then I have another question. For example, if the meaningful of the meditation is help us to cut off the negative thoughts. For example, when I have an exam, then I have a very bad score. I got very bad score, and so meditation is help me to cut off the thoughts that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worked hard, which makes me very sad. So should we just when the things happen, when the negative things happen, we just meditation to eliminate our negative thoughts, or we maybe just use the negative thoughts to make some progress, then to eliminate the bad score, for example, in our exam?
Okay, so in meditation, any thoughts that come up, whether they're positive or negative, you would like to cut them off because you're exercising the mind and you're training it to let go. But in day-to-day life, you're only cutting off the unwholesome thoughts. So if that thought comes up, you get your score back on your exam and you start degrading yourself, thinking negative, like, wow, I'm no good. I should just quit school. Why do I even go? This is, the professor is so bad. Why did they do this to me? And you start having all these unwise thoughts. You cut that off and you cut that off and you cut that off and you cut that off, realizing that that's not going to lead to anything beneficial. You don't need those types of thoughts in order to make improvements in your life, because those negative thoughts are just causing the mind to be angry and frustrated, and it's all shaken up. So if you cut all that off and you can maintain your calmness and composure, you can look at the score and you can be like, there wasn't a very good score here. What did I do? What decisions did I make or not make that led to this particular score? Oh man, I was on Facebook a lot, or I went out partying, or I didn't study as much as I should have. I see my unwise decisions that led to this. Let me make better decisions now. Let me spend more time reading my books. Let me spend more time taking notes in class. Let me not go out partying anymore, right? So you can make those wise decisions without the anger, without the negative thoughts, as you say. You don't have to have those negative thoughts to be able to see clearly, what did I do that led to this particular result? Because those negative thoughts will actually take you down a path that isn't going to help you. Because those negative thoughts, you'll be blaming the professor, you'll be blaming other people, you'll be thinking of all these other things where it's not allowing you to see clearly that it's your own decisions that led to this. So when you get all that negativity out of your mind, you can stay focused on wise decision making and what can I do to improve here? And you don't need those negative thoughts to be able to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I want to ask a question. I just noticed that you mentioned meditation is not exercising, right?
It's like exercising the mind.
It's like.
Yeah.
My question is, my addiction is poor. So I used to try meditate, but I found it's really hard for me. As you say, I have a lot of thoughts, so I can't insist. But recently I found that maybe sports like swimming or climbing mountains or running, like these sports, I can focus on my breath, and I also will have some thoughts, but I can focus on my thing. So my question is that, can I use sports to replace meditation for me?
Yeah, sports isn't replacing meditation.
Really? I can?
Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay.
Sports is exercising the body. And there is some benefit to the mind, but it's not the same as meditation. Meditation is exercising the mind, and the mind is not the body. The mind is non-physical. Did you say that you're addicted to pornography? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a little ADHD.
Okay. So if that's the case, that meditation that I was mentioning that I'm going to teach as part of this retreat, which is to eliminate sexual cravings, that's a meditation that you would like to learn also. So the breathing mindfulness meditation is going to help you, but also this other meditation as well, because that's going to help you to let go of sexual craving so that you don't have that same addiction. And you're going to need to move your mind away from that craving, but it's not sports that's going to necessarily help you to train your mind to let go. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You surely can, right? Like say you're walking towards the pornography and that's what your mind is wanting to do. You can redirect it and go outside and do swimming or jogging or volleyball or badminton or whatever it is that you would like to do. That's a better way to direct your mind towards those things, because that's going to produce wholesome results rather than looking at pornography. So you can use it to redirect your mind and get involved in something else, but you're going to find it challenging to do that if you don't train your mind to let go. because your mind is craving and holding on to this pornography. And the breathing mindfulness meditation is training your mind to let go. That's what's going to allow you to now go over here and do the sports and get involved in something else. But the sports itself isn't training your mind to let go. It's just training the body. Make sense?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do I'm going to do a breathing mindfulness meditation session with you guys and guide you in a session. What I'm going to do is start with some chanting to ease into the meditation. Then I'm going to provide you some guidance during the meditation. There's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating together. Then we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting. Okay, so if you guys would like to do the chanting, it's on a laminated sheet over there on the cabinet. For those of you guys that are online, you can find the same thing on our website by going to buddhadailywisdom.com, click on free books, and then down towards the bottom, you'll see the daily chanting sheet, because I chant these on the way into meditation and on the way out of meditation because it helps you to get more benefit out of the meditation itself. So if you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to, but keep in mind that this isn't a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony or worship or anything like this. This is not a prayer, right? This is just to help ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. This is how they remembered his teachings. So there isn't any rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer as part of the teachings of the Buddha. And if you read the English translations of these chants, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants himself. They were probably created by his students, either during his life or after his death, because a Buddha wouldn't go around and say, here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me. This isn't what a Buddha would do, because they would have eliminated their ego and their arrogance. They wouldn't see themselves as being above other people. So the students most likely created these either during his life or after his death, because if you learn from a teacher how to move from the anger and the sadness and the frustration and all those other feelings to the peace and joy that is the enlightened mental state, and this teacher didn't want anything or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for this person too. So that's where I suspect these chants actually came from. So I use them as a way to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of it. So if you'd like to chant along, you're more than welcome to. And you can take whatever position you like, either seated, lying, or standing. I'm going to teach walking position tomorrow morning, so you guys can learn that. Okay, so I'll chant and you guys are welcome to chant along, and then I'm going to come back in with the guidance. You guys, if you wouldn't mind, turning off your mics. That way we won't get feedback through your microphones. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Wat Tung Mahakavanang Apivateyami Sawakato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso imakawa Arahang Sama Sambuddho Vichacharanang Sammuno Sakato Rokavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you'd like to just establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There is nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมะเขวาโอตังมะเขวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมะเขวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมะเขวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสรังโอโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly ease your way out of meditation, what questions do you guys have on meditation? Anything you'd like to ask at this point? Have a question, Gala? Yep.
I was thinking, is there any place on our body we should direct the breath, like on our belly or more here?
No, you're breathing in your lungs.
Oh.
People who talk about abdominal breathing, it's actually not possible to breathe into your abdomen because air doesn't go into that. It goes into your lungs. All they're doing is using their muscles to expand their stomach and to shrink their stomach. All the air is coming into your lungs. So you just breathe into your lungs and you focus on the sound of the breath coming in or the sensation of air coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And do you know what to sing just now?
Me?
Yeah,
What the chants, the chanting, right? You said sing, right?
yeah, because
Okay.
After we meditation just now, you are saying something.
Yeah.
What's this? Is this?
Yeah, it's the chants. This is the Pali language. This is the historical language that the teachings of the Buddha are captured in. So I chant these on the way in and on the way out. And then you see the English translations there as well.
Oh,
That helps you to get more benefit out of the meditation itself.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's not a prayer or anything like that. It's not a ritual or anything like that.
Okay. So actually, the our purpose of the meditation is to finally is to clear our minds, to stop some all of our thoughts, both negative or positive.
No. This is the why right here. you're eliminating the unwholesome quality of craving, desire, attachment, where the mind's holding on, and you're training your mind to have the wholesome quality of mindfulness or awareness of mind and concentration. You're not trying to eliminate your thoughts. That's not what you're doing. You're noticing your thoughts sooner and sooner and letting it go easier and easier. Okay, it looks like Pam has a question. Go ahead, ma'am.
So it's eliminate the desire.
Yes. So after our break, I'm going to teach you what craving, desire, attachment is. This is the underlying cause that's producing all your discontent feelings.
Okay.
So that's what you're working to eliminate through training your mind to let go in this meditation. But you wouldn't be able to train your mind to let go if you didn't have mindfulness or awareness of mind and concentration. I'm going to teach you that this afternoon or this evening when we come back in the evening from 6:30 to 8:30. I'm going to teach you what mindfulness and concentration is, because these are wholesome qualities that you need in order to make your way to enlightenment.
Okay, so in the today, maybe 6 to 8 p.m.
6:30 to 8:30. Yep.
At 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to teach the core central teaching of the Buddha, the Eightfold Path. So this morning and this evening, you're going to have the core teachings of the Buddha in these two sessions.
Okay. Today, in this morning, we're teaching the first maybe to eliminate the craving, desire, attachment.
That's what this meditation's doing.
And
it's helping you to do that.
Concentrate to training the mind to more focus on the present moment and more concentrate on what we are doing and just eliminating some craving, desire, attachment.
Yeah.
And,
you'll see how it all fits together this evening. Between this morning and this evening, you're going to see how it all fits together. Okay, Pam.
Yes, hello, good morning. I was wondering what about when I was doing the meditation, I had in my I don't know how to say, was not thoughts, but a blue light all the time in a long period of the meditation. And I really enjoyed it when I saw it, but I didn't know if I should continue like this or cut this and continue with the breath. And what happening that and why?
Yeah, anything and everything that comes up during meditation, you would like to cut it off and let it go. Even if it's pleasurable, you would like to cut it off and let it go. That blue light that you're seeing, that's what I was talking about the physical structures of the brain changing. That's what's actually occurring when you're experiencing that. So even though it's pleasurable, it's not permanent. So that's why you're not allowing your mind to grab onto it and get those conditioned pleasant feelings. Because if you get those conditioned pleasant feelings when you have that blue light, when you don't have it, you'll be frustrated or sad or feeling bored or lonely or some other discontent feeling. So whenever you're experiencing even conditioned pleasant feelings, you would like to cut that off and let it go, not allowing your mind to do that. So that way you can get to the unconditioned happiness and the unconditioned joy. So this is normal. This is something that can occur in meditation. Just cut it off and let it go and keep bringing your mind back to the breath. You had a question?
Yeah, maybe a personal question. I want to ask you how to insist on this meditation, because maybe another expression. What's the motivation of you begin to meditate?
Me personally?
Yeah.
My motivation was that my mind was highly discontent. I was
highly discontent.
Yeah, I had a lot of stress and anxiety, frustration, agitation, annoyance, boredom, loneliness, all those feelings, shyness, resentment, jealousy, anger, all of that stuff was in my mind. The bitterness, the hostility. I saw how my life was not headed in a good direction, right? I had some periods of time here and there where I was happy or having things like that, but it was never permanent. It was always impermanent happiness. The happiness would arise, it would change, and it would fade away. And ultimately, I'd end up back in the sadness or the frustration or some other discontent feeling. So I was motivated to get out of those feelings because I was interested in the permanent peace and the permanent joy. And I was interested in living a wholesome life and having wonderful relationships with the people around me. And it was the teachings of the Buddha that will guide you in how to be able to do that. So now I'm at the point where I don't experience that stuff anymore, and now I'm motivated to be able to share with others how to be able to accomplish that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Alejandro on Facebook is asking, what is the rhythm to the breath? I think what you're asking is like the pace or the sequence and stuff like that. So the volume of air that each person takes in is going to be different, but the pace of the breath can be similar, where you would like to slow the breath down. When I say develop a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath, that doesn't mean to just breathe the way that you currently breathe. What that means is to develop a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. So you're going to need to slow your breath down most likely. Most people breathe very rapid and very shallow. So if somebody's breathing, your mind's not going to slow down because your mind's fixated on the breath, and now you're breathing in and out really rapidly. So you would like to slow your breath down. So the only way I can teach this to you is here at the temple, I can put the mic up to my nose so that you can hear the breath and hear the pace of the breath. So understand that your pace can be similar, but the volume and the amount of air is going to be different. So the rate of your breath will be similar, but the volume is going to be different. So here, I'm going to breathe like I'm meditating, and you can hear the breath breathing in and out so that you'll know what the rate of the breath is. So let me get this up here nice and okay. Okay, so nice and slow, nice and gradual. And there's a gap between the inhale and exhale where there's no breath at all. It's just paused, right? And now you're focused on that gap. So you just slowly breathe in. And you might need to train your mind and your body to be able to do this. I needed to do that outside of meditation. I would just sometimes sit there with my eyes open and train the body to be comfortable with this nice, slow, gradual breath. And then after doing that for 5 or 10 minutes, then I'd close my eyes and start meditating, right? So sometimes you need to just train your body and your mind just to breathe, because it doesn't breathe this way naturally. But if you slow your breath down and you focus your mind on the breath, you'll notice that it'll slow the mind down. Oftentimes people think quick is better, but it's not true, because if you're really quickly making decisions in your life, if your mind is really quick and overactive, it's not going to be content. It's not going to be peaceful. So your mind with craving, desire, attachment is going to want to go. And you're trying to slow that down. So you can just make one decision at a time and make a very wise decision, each decision that you make. Okay, so slowing your breath down is going to really help you. So perhaps you guys could hear that online, and that way you will be able to know the rate of the breath. Okay, I see, Pam, you still have your hand up, but I think that might be from before. If you have another question, you're welcome to ask it.
I have one more.
Let me just see if Pam has a question. Oh, no, she put her hand down. Okay, go for it.
Can we use like meditation video at the beginning to help us into the circumstance?
Yeah, what you'll notice is maybe the first 3 months or so, you might need this guidance. So when I guide people in meditation, they can see it in the YouTube videos, on our podcasts and things like this. And sometimes people use that for about 3 months or so just to help them get going.
Okay.
But you would like to use this type of guidance where I'm guiding you just a little bit at the beginning, and then you see that it's completely quiet and you're meditating on your own. If you're using guidance where it guides you all the way through the meditation, that's not what you're interested in. So I would encourage you to use the resources that I share, because it's going to guide you at the beginning just to get you started, and then it's going to allow you to meditate on your own, because that's what you would ultimately like to be able to do, is meditate on your own. So if you need to use our podcast or our YouTube videos or any of those kinds of things to help you get started for multiple weeks or months, feel free to do that. But then slowly you would like to get rid of that and be able to just meditate on your own.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and one more. Can I regard meditation as an exercise of enduring boring?
So you're having boredom during meditation? Is that what you're saying?
A little,
yeah.
To be honest.
The reason why is because your mind is craving.
Yeah.
You're longing, yearning to have stimulation, and the mind's not comfortable just being still and focusing on the breath. But the more you do it, you'll be able to overcome that craving, and then your mind will be able to be peaceful and joyful. If you can train your mind to be peaceful and joyful, just focusing on the breath, when you go out there, everything's wonderful, right? Because you're just sitting here focused on the breath and completely peaceful, completely joyful. You don't need anything else in the world, right? And now when you go outside and you see the sunshine, you see the birds, you go have some mango and sticky rice, you go get a massage, you go do some of these other things in the world, hey, you can enjoy that stuff easily, right? But you need to get to the point where you can just focus on the breath and just be completely peaceful and joyful. But you're never going to get to that point if you don't do it, right? Sometimes when people experience boredom, they try to avoid that thing. If they're eating by themselves and they feel bored, they'll watch a YouTube video. But that doesn't solve the problem. The problem is in your mind. It's the craving. It's the longing, yearning. So what you're experiencing is normal, and it might take you weeks or even months to overcome that, but eventually your mind will overcome that, and you'll be very peaceful and joyful in your meditation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, teacher. And I want asking when I meditation, and if there should be any sound to tell myself, for example, it's like peace, or I just think nothing, just focus on the breath. And if I have any thoughts, and just let it. Maybe I speak to myself, let it go.
Yeah, it's the latter part, is that you would like to just focus on the breath, and anytime anything comes up, just let it go.
Just let it go. I don't have to speak anything like my life is joyful, the Buddha is very helpful or something. No need.
No, that's just giving your mind a thought to think about. So your mind hasn't actually let go in that situation.
Just when I close my eyes and any thoughts, maybe today I have to eat what for lunch or eat what for dinner. Just maybe one song to myself. Let it go, let it go. Any things yesterday I'm happy, or yesterday I quarrel with my friends, and just when I meditation and just I said to myself, let it go. Just focus on my breathe in and breathe out.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I don't see any other questions anywhere. So I'm just going to end here so that we can take a nice little break. It's 10 minutes to 11. And what I'm going to do is take a 20-minute break for you guys, and then we'll start back up at 10 minutes after 11. And I'm going to teach you the Four Noble Truths, which are 4 simple statements that's going to teach you the problem in the mind, the cause of the problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. This is the very first teaching of the Buddha. And you'll be able to understand why you're meditating this way when you learn this teaching. So enjoy your break, and then I'll see you guys afterwards. Okay? Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your interest to learn. Okay.